So we're here also with the men's winner, Will Clarke, who won the race in 2014, defended his title successfully 2015. Will represents the U-Place BMC team, but it was a harder race this year than it was last year. Took us through the race from your side.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I had a bit of a surprise. Yeah, it was pretty. It ended up being really close in the end and coming down to a sprint finish. But the guy was a young German guy, and he seemed to be a very fast swimmer. Even in the top races, I come down at around 45-50 seconds from the fastest guys in the world, really. And that was a gap at the weekend to him. So he was obviously a really talented swimmer. And then we jumped up to him on the bike, and we worked well with another Russian guy. I was pulling pretty big turns because I was pretty confident that I could outrun them both. And yeah, got on the run, and I tried to drop him on the first lap, and it didn't really work. So I had to change my tactics. And in the end, I thought, I haven't really got the legs for this, so I'm going to sit here for as long as I can, and then just use my sprint, which is a bit of a weapon of mine.
So it's a good training race for you.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, I mean we did train right through it in all honesty. But yeah, I mean he was a talented athlete. The guy that came second, and I was happy to win it. With tired legs.
So when you're on the bike, some guy goes out in front of the swim, and he's 45 seconds in front. Yeah. There's you and the Russian Dmitry who come out together in second. Is there a conversation between you saying, "Come on, let's get up to him as quickly as possible"? There's 6 other guys coming up behind us. How does that work in a drafting race like we've got?
Well, firstly, I always come out of the water, and the first 5k is hard no matter what, whether I'm leading or I'm chasing, because that's where you kind of establish your position and you set up the race. So I come out of the swim. There's a few other people around still, and just go all out because I normally need to catch someone, or normally need to keep the gap or drop someone from behind. So it was kind of perfect to have one other guy to work with me, and and we seem to catch him pretty quickly, and then once there's 3 of us, and there's a decent gap behind, we can work together and improve that gap, and those 2 guys will probably end up on the podium because by the end of the bike we'll have a decent gap on the rest of the guys.
So you've come into this race on hard training, and really you've moved away from the Olympic distance now into 70.3s and Ironman full distances. So talk us about how you structure your season and where you are in that, and what the goals are for this year.
This year's my first season racing full Ironman. So I'm going to do hopefully 2 a year, because I don't really want to do 3 because it'll obviously kill you a bit. So the first part of the season is geared around Ironman Lanzarote, which I'm racing in 3 weeks' time. Now I'm racing Ironman. You can't race too often, so I'm doing less races than normal and trying to hit good performances. So after Ironman Lanzarote, I'll have to have 2 weeks holiday almost to recover and then build up again. So you have to have kind of 6, 7, 8 weeks between races to be able to recover and then build up again.
And how long does it take, coming out of a successful career, if you like, in Olympic distance? How long does it take to then transition up to the elite end of those longer distance races?
I think a couple of years. I think the cycling is very different. That's the main thing. Going from drafting racing, where you can hide a bit. I mean, they're still very strong in their own right, but it definitely takes a year to 2 years to get the strength in your legs to be able to ride hard for 90k or indeed 180k on a time trial bike. And it's a different bike in itself, and it's different muscles, and it's not as easy as I thought. To be honest, I thought I would walk into it a lot easier than I have. But slowly but surely you kind of you adapt to the demands of the event, and starting to feel good now about it.
How did you get into triathlon? What inspired you to take up the sport, and how did you think, or at what point did you think you were going to be quite good at it?
Yeah, I was swimming since I was 7. I was a decent swimmer, but I wasn't by any means, you know,
as good as me. It's all right. You can say it. It's
yeah,
fine.
as good as you. There's no chance I was really doing well on a national level. I was just a county level swimmer from 7 till now. I'm still going. I picked up running when I started secondary school. Started in sprints just for fun, obviously, because I was rubbish again. But yeah, the aerobic endurance that I have from swimming suited me really well for middle distance running and eventually long distance running. And yeah, I kind of did them both at a semi decent level. Not too serious, but I certainly trained a fair amount each week and did a lot of competitions. And I got I went to a talent spotting day at Loughborough Uni for triathlon. I did a few triathlon events and I absolutely loved it, and that was clearly what I wanted to get into. And yeah, that was when it all picked up for me. And in fact, my swimming level got better and my running level got a lot better. And then that's when I picked up the biking, because I had access to all the expertise and you know, national level coaches, and they take you on camps and give you a little bit of funding, you know, enough for me at that age to give me a big boost. And you know, we got to race, you know, in different countries and race other athletes, and yeah, that was when my career really started. And I kind of maintain that until you get to university or you really take the sport seriously, you're never sure how good you'll be.
What's it like to be an athlete within a professional team like you place BMC?
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's a massive advantage, and I really like yeah, as I said, having the support of everyone, and having all the best materials, because we're really lucky to work with some amazing partners. You know, like, you know, BMC, it's a proper luxury brand, and yeah, all of our spots are top class, so you have all the best equipment, and it's a big advantage. And you know, to race as part of a team and have a mechanic there and have team manager there and have your coaches coming out, it's really good. And yeah, I wouldn't want to change it at all, really.
Well, good luck in Lanzarote coming up at the end of the month and for the rest of the season. And we'll look forward to following your progress.
Thank you.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks for the race.
Now, we're fortunate enough to have with us Mark Pearce, who is Will's coach. So we're going to get the other side of this dynamic, the athlete and the coach. So, Mark, thank you for your time. What's your official title?
Well, I run my own company as a private independent coach, one of which is, well, Will's one of my clients, amongst a few other pros and age group athletes as well.
And what's the name of the company?
Intelligent Triathlon Training.
What does that mean or do or offer?
Well, we've had, I used to work for the British Triathlon Federation as the head coach for one of their 2 national centres, working with the Olympic athletes. And once I decided to leave from there and set up my own company, we had myself and my wife, who run the company, wanted to set up an environment where we can share information, put ideas, and use our background as scientists, physiologists in the sport, up for people to be able to get information about training and coaching. And the logical thing from there was to start offering ourselves as a coaching service once I'd left the federation.
So, without giving away too many trade secrets, you can talk generally if you want, but
yeah.
You have an athlete like Will. When you look at an athlete in front of you, how do you go about fixing a plan on improving them, either physiologically or in terms of coaching requirements? Because I'm guessing you can't do it the same thing to every athlete.
No, absolutely not. I mean, triathlon's a sport, but if you look at it in the sense that there are sprint races which last for a decent athlete, it's less than an hour, and then you've got Ironman races where you've got world record just under 8 hours. So it's like comparing an ultra marathon with a sprinter or a middle distance runner. So of course there's different programs and different things that you need, and then you combine the fact that the sport's made up of 3 different disciplines. So you'll have people in there who are strong bikers, weak bikers, strong swimmers, etc. So yeah, you can't set a generic program for every athlete and start from that and crack on. You've got to. Part of it is profiling what the athlete needs, what their ambitions are, what they want to achieve, what do they then need to do to achieve that. So if in Will's case, well, I won't give too many trade secrets away, winning Kona is a big aim for him. So as a physiologist, then one of the first things we look at is what the physiological requirements to do that. How fast you have to swim, how fast you have to bike, what powers are going to be required at what stages, how fast you then have to be able to run, how are you going to fuel that, and then we start to work on a training program that will work on the correct areas, So obviously something like an Ironman's a very aerobic event, so you need a lot of very fat fuel efficient to be able to provide the energy for it. It's no good being a carbohydrate muncher. If you are, then you either need to look at going shorter, or you need to start working on ways and methodologies to change that.
And in the Olympic distance race, like we had at the weekend, physiologically, the demands on a race like that, talk us through them, and perhaps to people watching who might be interested in taking on an Olympic distance race at any level, what kind of fuel do they need on a race like that?
Well, the Olympic distance race of the weekend was a drafting race, so the swim is very important, get a good position, so that's very much the first 300-400 metres are usually full gas and something like that, so carbohydrate mechanism switched on absolutely to the limit. So starting the race fully topped up with carbohydrate supplies, so in the days before you've eaten appropriately. But then having something like a gel 5 or 10 minutes before the start, no earlier than that, otherwise you get the insulin response that then starts to come back down again. So you only want it 5 or 10 minutes before just to get the carbohydrate switched on, so as soon as you dive in, then you know you've got performance there immediately. The rest of the swim's pretty hard, so you're at threshold sort of pace through that. So again, you're burning pretty much 100% carbs, so you need that fuel in the system somewhere, or you need to know you're going to get some more before the end of the race. It's a 2-hour race, give or take 10 or 15 minutes, depending upon how good you are. And the body can store about 90 minutes worth of carbohydrates at threshold sort of intensity. So if you're planning on racing hard all the way through, you're going to need some more from somewhere. So that's where onto the bike, you're going to need some sort of fuel on there, whether it's in your fluids or whether it is gels, and getting a couple of those in, a couple of stimulus of that in. In the terms of the race, then in Will's race at the weekend, then you had a bit of chasing to do straight away, so it's out of the water and then straight hard to try and catch the leaders up. But then you get a bit of a lull, so pace starts to go up and down a little bit more, and it's a bit of chance for recovery. But then you're onto the run, and the run's generally a full gas run after that. As Will explained in his interview, he played a little bit of a strategic race, but it's still a pretty hard run all the way.
And is there time for him to take on something in the run, or you just leave that and you've got what you've got at that point?
In an Olympic distance race where you're running sort of 30 minutes give or take for the 10k, then there's not generally, unless it's a very, very hard bike or conditions what merit it, generally you wouldn't take much on in that time. If you're taking anything in within 20 minutes of the finish line, you're not going to get it before the finish line anyway, so there's not a lot of point. And with the amount of carbs you've taken through the bike, then you're better off just leaving it where you are. So you're trying to avoid any gastric issues.
Can you give some advice to those larger numbers of people who are doing triathlon at a much lower level? What's your advice as a physiologist to those people who are getting around a triathlon, maybe new to the sport, not quite as experienced? What do they need to do? Pacing's
the absolute key to it. So if you race the race in the first 10 or 15 minutes and you go too hard, then the race is gone. Then you've basically compromised yourself so much. The whole secret well, not a secret really, but the whole key to getting a good positive race is pacing. Not starting off too fast, getting into a nice comfortable but firm or hard rhythm, and then just something you can keep maintaining. If it's not, when it's non-drafting racing, if people come past you going a lot faster, just let them get on with it. They might come back to you. If they don't, they're probably better than you and they deserve to beat you. So yeah, but pacing's a key thing. If you burn too many matches by chasing too hard up the hills or chasing competitors who are going significantly faster than you can really cope with, then you're going to end up paying for that big time sooner or later.
There we are. Advice from the top. We're at the best centre. You're getting the best advice here. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck with Will and the rest of your
Thanks so much.
group.